Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
I remember my mother and father, but I can't picture them. You see, I was taken away from them when I was very young, and told that someday I would see them again. But that was a lie. The doctors and nurses here, they want to give you hope. That one day you can leave here. But you deserve someone to show you mercy. How different I would be if someone had. Looking good today, Mildred.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness history. I present to you the lobotomy, juvenile distraction, lesbianism, mania. All of these maladies can be reversed.
But then, aren't we playing God? Aren't we saying there's one feeling that's right and another feeling that's wrong?
Well, there are rights, and there are wrongs.
I want to be normal.
I believe that. I believe there are some things that are worse to feel than simply feeling nothing. Be no death today. I'm going to help you. I don't know what you're after, but I will not stand for this. If I were you, I would choose my next words very carefully.
Allow me to warn you that you have found yourself in the most unenviable of positions.
I beg to differ. People like us, places like this, are maybe where we belong.
You have found Monday Morning Critic Podcast. My name is Derek Thomas. This is episode 213, and I am so happy that you're listening today. So if you're listening, chances are you are listening on one of the following: Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Audible from Amazon, Amazon Music, Podbean, Google Podcasts. Those are just the big ones. And if you're listening on YouTube, I would absolutely love if you could listen to one of those other ones I just named. What I just found out with YouTube is, I don't know what the number is, but I know that my YouTube listens don't go, and I'm pretty sure on this, my YouTube listens don't count for my overall downloads. Does it mean a lot that I have a ton of downloads, or I don't have a lot? Not really. But if they're going to go towards a total, it helps with other things. But, you know, and somebody told me that, and I was looking into that. And so I probably lost a good, just off the top of my head without looking, maybe 30, 35, 40,000 listens because, you know, people are listening in YouTube, which is much more convenient. And I was even promoting it that way for a long time. So if you can, please listen to one of the bigger podcast platforms. Again, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. It would be great if you subscribed. I would appreciate that. Audible from Amazon, which is an app. Amazon Music, which is an app. Podbean, which is an app. Google Podcasts, which is an app. So I really would absolutely love it. And thank you for listening. And I do appreciate those of you that are listening and coming back. That's really awesome because we have so many fantastic guests. And I have two really awesome Monday Movie Lofts coming up, where I look, analyze, and talk about movies years later. So very excited about that. Before I go into today's guest, if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, it's MDM Critic. I should be more active on Twitter. I am not. I'm very active on Instagram. I'm very, very active on Facebook. You can find me there at Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Would love a follow. Followers are increasing. I see it, and it really makes me happy that people are listening to a product by a podcast host who is doing things the right way and always has been. So that makes me really happy. So on Facebook, it is Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Please join me. Instagram, Monday Morning Critic. Please join me there too. My email, if you want to drop me an email, and I keep giving out my email, and I'm getting legitimate people talking to me about things they've listened to, things they've enjoyed. But it is, oh my God, has it opened me up to some spam emails about, a lot of podcasters, and I've said this 1,000 times, but I'm saying this in context here. A lot of podcasts in my category, TV and film interviews, they pay for downloads, and I have people saying we can increase your traffic, we can increase your Instagram followers. Like, I don't want any of that. I want to put out a good product, and if people listen and they like it, that means the world to me. If it's 500 people a night to listen to my podcast and they love it, and I've done things ethically and they enjoy what I'm putting out, that's all I care about. Like, I don't want, I'm not one of these, these Instagram accounts that has, following 7,000, having 3,000 followers. Like, that's ridiculous. It is so fake and phony and raw, and like, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's not who I am. I hope I put out a good product. I hope people enjoy the guests I have. I work very hard to get them in. Not to sound repetitive, but I'm very happy that people are listening. So that does mean the world to me. My email, with all that being said, is mondaymorningcritic@gmail.com. Today's guest filmography is pretty impressive. He has been in a bunch of things. He's been in American Crime Story, Versace, American Horror Story, and most recently, he is on Ratched. He plays Dr. Hanover. Such a fantastic character. And I say this it's on Netflix, by the way. I say this during the interview. This character is right out of a Coen's brothers movie. I mean, the way it's written, the way it looks, the way it feels. But it is a Ryan Murphy who's a genius when it comes to American Horror Story. It is his project, but I don't want to lead people down the wrong path. But just the feel of the way it looks, and my guest character, Dr. Hanover, it's just fantastic. My guest today, I should have said this first. His name is Jon Jon Briones. Jon Jon has this amazing story, this wonderful acting family. It's Jon Jon, who's been in a bunch of things. His wife, Megan. His daughter, Issa, who is in Picard of Star Trek fame. His son, Teo Briones, who is in Wind River, plays Jeremy Renner's son. If those of you listening know how much I love Wind River, it is easily, and I mean easily, one of my top 5 movies in the last 10 years. Powerful, fantastic. If you guys have a chance to watch it, I cannot recommend it enough. He is also in the show with his dad, Ratched, on Netflix, which we're going to talk a lot about today. I just think about how cool is that, right? So, you think about Field of Dreams and, Dad, can I have a catch? And the different things I think about my own life, right? Things I did with my dad, the playing catch and him bringing me to hockey games when I know he came back from work and he was so tired, yet driving 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. The man was just a legend. He could do no wrong in my eye. I mean, my dad did everything for me, bringing me to sports events when I knew he was tired, when I knew he was going through things. He, brought me everywhere. He did everything for me. If that man had $20 in his wallet, he'd give me the whole thing. He was just a wonderful human being. He was my superhero. And when I look back at how special he was to me and is, for those of you that know I've lost a loved one, a cycle of time never goes by where you're not thinking of them, where you're not just thinking about how wonderful they are and how beautiful they are. And, I don't know. This interview got me thinking of that because I was thinking how wonderful it is that Jon Jon gets to act. He's acted on scene with his daughter. And again, Ratched on Netflix, he's acted on scene with his son. How cool is that? Like, I can't even fathom how awesome that is, right? Well, I'm playing, when I was younger, when I was, John's son's age, Teo, I enjoyed those moments with my dad. And I can't imagine how awesome it must be for both of them to just have those moments. It's just a really unique family. I don't think I'll ever interview and have a situation like this. So I was very, very happy to have Jon Jon Briones on the show. Just a comfortable guy to talk to. Like, just he eases into the conversation, very kind, awesome, made me feel it's just the ideal interview. It's the absolute, when you go into an interview and you approach people, this is the type of interview I love to have. The guy is just a cool dude, just very talented. I know I'm going to see him in a lot of things. Just a beautiful story too. But I don't know, just got me thinking, right? This whole family dynamic, this whole family is involved in acting, legitimate acting. Picard is a legitimate show. Wind River is a legitimate movie. Teo is in Wind River, as I mentioned. He's in Ratched. The kid has a legitimate resume. Jon Jon has a legitimate resume. Megan as well. They work acting, and it's just, they're musicians as well. It's just a very unique family. And, you know, this whole family dynamic around this time, around Christmas, it just gets you thinking, right? It gets you thinking about who you should appreciate, appreciate people around you, loving those around you. Just emphasize, I was doing research on Jon Jon's life, and this is what I'm thinking about, just what kind of great father this guy must be, because on screen, he's phenomenal. Talking to him off screen, I can get a sense of what people are like, and just a good dude, just a good man, good human being. So yeah, we finished up Ratched a few weeks back, maybe it was a week ago. I don't remember. It was recently, but what a great show. I mean, you talk about a cast. Let's start with, we mentioned Jon Jon. How about Sarah Paulson, two-time Oscar-nominated actor, Judy Davis, Finn Wittrock, on and on it goes. Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, when Ryan Murphy puts a cast together, he puts a cast together. I mean, it works on every way imaginable. And one thing I did not mention in the interview was how beautiful the movie looks. It's supposed to take place in 1947, right? The movie is I guess, prequel, if you want. And I mentioned this as well about, Mildred Ratched, who was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One of the most just despicable, heinous villains in cinematic history. And this is the setup to that. Whether they have a season 2, I don't know. But what an enjoyable show if you're looking to watch it. Ratched. Great, great show. Boy, Sarah Paulson can act. This whole cast, you'll hear us talk about it in the interview. Just a wonderful cast. I won't talk your ear off anymore. I don't think I'll be having another episode drop before Christmas, so I want to take this time to wish you a Merry Christmas. Enjoy those close to you. Appreciate every minute. Treasure that time. Value that time. No matter what anybody ever says, that is the most valuable commodity in the history of humanity is time. And as I get older, that is certainly the one thing I have come to appreciate. And if I don't, I make myself appreciate it. Time is the most valuable commodity in the history of humanity, without question. Without further ado, I will introduce you to Jon Jon Briones. This is episode 213. You are listening to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Enjoy. My next guest filmography includes American Crime Story Versace, American Horror Story, and the newly released absolutely excellent Ratched, currently on Netflix. Please welcome Jon Jon Briones. Jon, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, man. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and you are the ultimate late bloomer, right? And we're going to get to that too. It's such a wonderful story, and I have a special place in my heart for people who have English as a second language. My mother was, is an ESL, so I'm really fascinated by your journey here. Is this correct? I know you're born in the Philippines, but you learned English through watching movies and TV. Is that part right, Jon Jon?
Yeah, well, of course, we learn it in school, but you don't really learn the language through the books and through a teacher, because you have to practice it. And when you're learning it in school, you don't practice it. So when you're watching a movie or TV, that's kind of how you learn it, like the British, especially with the accents, British accent or the American accent. When I remember when I was watching John Wayne movies or the Western, I would say I would just do gibberish American accent, but it's like
because I'm a singer, you learn it, the cadence and all that, even though you don't understand it. I mean, even now when I learn my lines, I have to say it over and over and over again, because it's some of the lines in scripts is something I don't say all the time, and so it's a little foreign to my tongue, so I have to say it over and over and over again. Yeah. So movies, man, Filipinos love our Hollywood movies, and that's how we, we love everything American.
Yeah, and you said this in other interviews I've listened to. When you grew up, there was a lot of poverty around you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that a correct statement? You grew up in somewhat of a poverty-stricken area. Is that fair, John?
Every time I talk about this in interviews here in the United States, my mom hates it because I came from a poor family. It's one of the slums in Manila. Squatters areas is all around us, and we're near a little river that when it rains, it floods our whole area. And so everyone evacuates all their furniture into the main streets just to get it out of the waters. But yeah, I grew up like that. But my mom, she's a very prideful person, and she tried her best to make our humble house more presentable, especially because we have my sisters, my brothers, and we go to schools, and there are a lot of rich, well-off kids there, and we would hang out with them, and sometimes they would come to our house, and so my mom would try her best to make it presentable for us so that we're not embarrassed.
Yeah, certainly a lot of pride there, it sounds like. And let me ask you this. Do you find that, watching movies and watching TV, to some degree, was that an escape, Jon, for you? Do you feel like watching that, because, I know just growing up in the States, I was just fascinated. I was glued to movies and those iconic shows. Was it the same way for you? Was it an escape?
Absolutely. Especially at that young age, your imagination is just it's ripe for exploring, going to places you'll never go to. So movies is one of that. You just watch a movie, and I watch a movie, and then after I turn it off. I've always been a loner. After I watch a movie, and I would recreate it with my toys. And I would. I don't like playing with other kids. Even my brother, he doesn't like it playing with me. Of course, he likes to play outside. I don't like to play outside. I like to get lost in my imagination. And we don't have money for toys. So I don't know if you're familiar with this fruit. It's called tamarind, and they have seeds, and I would collect those seeds, and I would use them as my soldiers.
Wow!
And I would have a battle scene in front of me, and I would recreate what I just saw on TV, and that has been my childhood.
Jon, taking into account your this creative imagination, this love of acting, this love of storytelling, you had to absolutely know early on that you wanted to be an actor.
No, I didn't. I didn't really. I think I've been answering questions like that, and I thought that was the answer. Like when I said maybe the first time I saw West Side Story in the Philippines when I was 9 years old. But not really. I saw it, and I was just fascinated with telling stories like that, especially like West Side Story. They were dancing and singing, and they're telling a very serious story. But I never thought of myself as going to be an actor one day. I never did. I remember being in a party, and there were a lot of singers there, and they were trying to, a lot of the kids were trying to sing, and they asked me to sing, and I couldn't, and I was so embarrassed because I couldn't perform, and I thought, and looking back now, I'm like, well, how did I become an actor? I never dreamt of it. I think I stumbled upon this journey, this world by accident. I really don't know how I got into this.
Because your journey is an amazing one. You leave home at 23, right? How tough of a decision is that for you? Because that's a huge thing to just get up and leave and then go to, I believe it's London was your next stop in your life. Was that a tough decision for you? Was that a tough moment for you?
That was tough. I decided to study engineering, electrical engineering, because I was supposed to be the one to help the family get out of poverty. That's basically every children in the Philippines. That's their responsibility to, if you come from a poor family. But the thing was, performing, I stumbled upon it, and then I went, I like this. I like this world. I discovered the passion for it. I would do it for free. I would go to school. I would go and do my engineering thing, and then after that, I would have gigs with my friends, and finally, cutting a long story short, Miss Saigon presented itself to me, and I was part of the. I got in. I passed the audition, and I had to tell my dad, I'm going to be an actor, and I need to quit engineering to go to London. I think I went to his bedroom, and he was lying down, and I had to tell him that, and he didn't say anything. He was quiet. I know it broke his heart, and it deep inside me, I was like, am I being selfish by choosing this that was hard. That was very hard. But eventually, I came back to the Philippines to do Miss Saigon there when Cameron McIntosh brought the show there. And my family finally saw me in the show. And my dad was so proud. And he in a way, it was like him saying, yeah, you did the right thing. You chose. You did you made the right decision.
Yeah, that is something, Jon, that I hear a lot from actors. That's a tough choice, especially those that come from homes, not necessarily in the States, but somewhere else, right? The expectation is that you get something that's 9 to 5, that's steady, that you can rely on. So that's going to be a tough moment. I mean, you said it. It's a tough moment to go up to, dad who's expecting you, but also the pressure of you to kind of, I don't want to say support the family, but to kind of, lead the family. That's a lot of pressure too. So you've got a double impact there, right? You've got telling your dad about your love of acting, what you want to do, and telling him basically that you're going to stop the electrical engineering part. It's like a 1-2 punch. I feel like.
Yeah. My dad has struggled. He did his best, and he was really struggling because life was getting hard, and he thought I could help him, and that when I did that, I think it broke his heart, and that broke my heart as well. But was I being selfish? I think so, maybe, but. That's what you teach your child, right? Follow your dreams. That's what I teach my children. follow what makes you happy. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really well said. Does your family, and I think it's maybe a little bit past your parents, but did your family obviously get to see your success and what all the great things you've been doing as a musician and actor? Have members of your family seen it? And I'm guessing they're extremely proud of you if they have.
Yeah, they are. They every now and then they would message me and they would share stories where they friends and families and even people they don't know would come up to them, and once they know that they are my family, that how proud they are of me. My friends. Yeah, it's been great. My family's. I love my family. We're so close, and we love each other, and they're really happy for me, and they're really proud of me.
Yeah, that's well deserved for sure. So you make the choice to go to London, and then your big break, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, comes in '89 with Miss Saigon. Life begins to change a little bit, right? That's the moment where life in London becomes to really, your gamble to leave, right? Kind of pays off. Is that the moment?
Yeah. Oh my God. Miss Saigon has opened so many doors for me and windows, and not just me. A lot of Asian actors. It's the show that gave us so much. I truly believe that Miss Saigon, because of Miss Saigon, producers and the world found out that Asians can act. After Miss Saigon, when I came back to the Philippines, I was being offered lead roles, even though I haven't done anything in the Philippines. To do a lead role in a play, that opened so many doors for me. And then I did it again in Germany, and that's, by the way, that's where I met my wife. She's American, and we have two beautiful children. And then because of Miss Saigon, when it came back to London in 2014, I was chosen to be the lead, and that opened so many things, because that opened my screen break, because that's when the audition for the assassination of Gianna Versace was happening. The head writer, Tom Rob Smith, and Darren Criss saw me in London, and they said to the producers, I think we should give this guy an audition, because he's great. He's Filipino. So this show gave me so much.
Yeah, and you started to talk about something that I'm really interested in, because I had an actor, I want to say a year ago. His name is Tai Ma, very famous, I believe.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, so he had the kind of like he's a wonderful guy. He's a great actor. But one of the things that he said was, and you said the kind of the same thing, and I was intrigued by this. It's nice to have Asian actors who are not the restaurant owner or the stereotypical, right? So let's break down some doors. Let's get some roles here that can be fulfilled. Some variety. What I'm saying? It's like I was really, you said something to that effect, and as did he, and I was just very kind of supportive and intrigued by your sentiment there.
Yeah, I have this friend in from the Philippines, and we both moved to London during Miss Saigon, and he stayed there, and he was kind of like the go-to Asian guy. He became the go-to Asian guy in London, but his roles have always been behind the counter, and he's an amazing actor. And yeah, he was working, but he was so limited by the imagination of so many people. And I was thinking about that. If he had the opportunities that I got, my God, that they would have seen how amazing Asian actors are. Ryan Murphy, case in point, I was so blessed, lucky, maybe even that I stumbled upon him, or he stumbled upon me, and he gave me the biggest break of my life. And for him to entrust me in a character that was not originally written for an Asian or an actor of color, he said, no, let's give it to Jon Jon. That was so brave of him to do that. And I think right now, people in power should be braver. And because we have people like me, Taima, we have a lot to offer. We are I believe we are good storytellers, and there's a lot of us waiting in the wings right now. I actually call myself lucky, because if I don't acknowledge that, it's a disrespect to a lot of Asian actors that I know, and some of them are my friends who work as hard, who are as talented, but didn't get the break that I got. So it's that time to reconsider the norm, and give us the chance to tell stories.
Yeah, that's really well said, Jon Jon. One of the things you mentioned earlier was that, you were talking about memorizing lines and so forth. How tough was it early on for you, not really knowing the language, but also having to memorize lines? I feel like that is, I think about what actors do, and I could speak English. I could never do what you guys do. Never. That's why I love movies and I love TV. But you had to overcome, you had to learn English, and then you had to, was that difficult for you, having that kind of, again, another 1-2 punch? Was that tough for you?
It was tough. In the beginning, when I was in London, I had to, whenever there were conversations after rehearsals, we would go to the pub, and there are conversations, and I get lost because I can't follow the conversation. At the end of the day, my brain hurts and my tongue is just it hurts as well. But I think it just made me realize I need to work twice as hard as everybody else. If I really love what I'm doing, I need to work as harder than everyone else. And I think that carried on throughout my career, that I need to do more than the next person. Whenever I've lost. When I got here, I've actually lost a couple of roles because of my English. I thought I worked on my American accent, and then a casting director said, "You know what? You have to lose that accent. You have to lose that accent." And I didn't get the job because my American accent was not good enough. It was a hindrance back in the day, and then something clicked when I saw this documentary of Raul Julia, when he doubled down on his accent. He said, "Why can't I do Shakespeare?" And in his career, he never gave up his accent, because that's who he is. And when he's doing Shakespeare, when he's doing he's playing a lawyer in America, it's the same accent. It just, people accept it because he's just telling a story, and he's a brilliant actor, brilliant storyteller. And that gave me kind of the confidence to go, you know what, screw this. That is just a secondary thing. Your accent is a secondary thing, and you can't hide it. I can't hide it, but it's the way you tell your story. That's what's going to set you apart.
Yeah, think about the insanity. I can't believe a casting director would even say that. Can you imagine if we had a bias toward our greatest living actors have accents? I mean, Javier Bardem. Just think about, you could name 100 like top A-list actors. I think that's a crazy philosophy to have, Jon Jon. I think that's insanity. I think you're playing with fire as a casting director by having that philosophy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think so. I think now people are realizing, that directors and producers, that accents is not, it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, back in the black and white movies, a lot of those Hollywood films, those actors had, and they're playing Americans, they had accents, European accents, yeah, but they had accents. It's just now that in the last 30 years, it's like if you don't have an American accent, you're an outsider.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this phenomenal family you have. I've interviewed almost 300 people. I don't think I've ever seen such a unique situation. Your wife is an actor. Your daughter Issa's a wonderful actor. Your son Teo, wonderful actor. For those listening, Jon Jon's daughter was in Picard. Teo was amazing in Wind River, also in Ratched, which I want to get to. I feel like, and I'm going to get to Ratched in a moment, Jon Jon, I feel like I've listened to a lot of your interviews. I don't think I've heard one interviewer mention that your son was in that with you. Maybe they have, and I missed it. But I thought it was amazing. It's such a cool thing to have your son in this great show with you.
That was so special. Issa was, I worked with Issa on set in the assassination of Gianni Versace. She played one of my daughters, and that was the coolest thing. And then when Teo got this gig, I was so happy because I've always wanted to work with my son. Back in the day when he was even younger, when we first moved to LA, he was the only one booking jobs. He is such an amazing actor. So when he got this Ratched, I was so excited. The set of Ratched was such a family that I went around and introduced him to everyone. And they were so happy to meet him, and they've heard so much about him through me that he's a better actor than I am.
But what a wonderful father-daughter, father-son experience. I can't think of, it's like when you think of those athletes, sometimes the father and son get to play together on the same team, but like that's such an amazing moment, just as a dad, as somebody who loves acting. I just think it's very unique, very one-of-a-kind situation.
That is, it's like it seldom happens. It really, because chances are not there. It's hard to make that thing happen, but for that to happen to us, that's great. But it also it tells a lot about their talent. And you know what? A big part of that is my wife. She is their very first acting coach. Every time they have an audition, she works with them, and she's good at that. She's a wonderful actress, my wife, and a singer, a wonderful singer. And they're just so talented that we always tell them, even when they're not booking things, and like, don't let that get you down, because your talent is not going to be subdued for long.
Yeah, and I should also mention again that your kids are talented musicians, and this is a true story, Jon Jon, I swear. In Seattle, they had a Comic-Con in 2018, and I had a chance to talk to Jeremy Renner for like 5-10 minutes, and I swear he mentioned two people by name. When it came to Wind River. One was Julia Jones, and the other was your son when we were talking. Hand to God, he mentioned both of them, and he talked about, and I feel it's one of the more underrated movies of the last 10 years. I have my own reasons, my suspicions of why, but you won't find a better movie, and kudos to your son. You must have been super proud as a dad there.
Oh, that's so sweet of him. I heard from my wife that he really enjoyed his time with Jeremy Renner enjoyed his time with Teo. He was so good with him. He was protective of him, and he acted like a father to Teo. And Teo had so much fun on that set. He is in his element every time he's on set. He is happiest when he's on set. It's his natural habitat. And everyone is his friend. Everyone loves him. The crew, the actors, the directors. It's just, he's so natural when he's there. I just love it. I love observing him when he's working.
Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful situation that your family is in. I just think, I just had a baby girl. I'm a little bit over dad. I'm 47. But I can't think. I would be so proud to be in a situation like that with my daughter, as you are with your kids. So I'm so happy for you and for your wife. What a wonderful family, unique dynamic you guys have. That's so great to me.
Thank you very much.
So you meet Ryan Murphy, right? And I believe this was after, I want to say it was one of your Broadway plays. I could be wrong here, but he says to you, you know what? I want you. I want you to come with me. I want you on these projects. And you're kind of like, yeah. You figure it's this, people just talking. But Ryan Murphy follows through on his word, right? To bring you along. Like when many people say it, usually it's just kind of this Hollywood kind of, I'll have my people call your people, and nothing ever comes of it. But Ryan Murphy kept his word with you. I find that really impressive.
Yeah, now that I know him better, he doesn't say anything that he doesn't follow through. He won't lie to you. He's very direct. He's a very direct person. And for him to say that, yeah, of course, that was the first time I really met him after the performance in Miss Saigon. I think they just finished editing my episode of Versace, and he said he wanted to see the show, so I organized that. Came backstage, and then he asked me, "What are you doing after Miss Saigon?" I said, "I'm going to be looking for a job." And then he said, "Well, I just have to snatch you up." Of course, I was like, "Oh, that's really nice of him." Even if it's just talk, that's nice. But a few months later, finding out that there was an offer for me, I was like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is someone else, something else."
Yeah, and it's just so refreshing. Not only does this man keep his word, but the way, and you mentioned this earlier in the interview, his casting is just so diverse. It's so eclectic. And that's why American Horror Story works, right, Jon Jon?
Absolutely. The thing is, he loves to tell stories that are really grounded, but in a hyper sense of reality. And I believe you need special kinds of actors to be able to pull that off, and that's why he has like a repertory of actors. He tries to use the same people and also discover other people to put in his group. Just to be able to be invited and to play in his world is such a big compliment for an actor.
Yeah, you just stole my next question. So Ryan Murphy, you mentioned there's a director that reminds me of Ryan Murphy in keeping the same core cast. I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Flanagan. He directed Dr. Sleep, The Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor. He reminds me very much of Ryan in the sense that he uses the same core of actors. He loves this core of actors that he has, and he also introduces new actors. So why do you think, and you don't have to speak for Ryan or for Mike, but why do you think a director would do that? Is it because he's very comfortable with those around him and he knows what he's going to get? Is that part of it, Jon Jon?
Yeah, I think it's a successful producer, director like that. He needs to maintain the excellence, and I think once you get to the power that he has, he can basically invite anyone he wants, and they would just go, yes, please. And the thing is, the chemistry, it needs to work for everyone, and I think he loves it when it's like an all-star that he's introducing in his projects. Yeah,
before I let you go, I have to ask you a few questions about Ratched. We finished it last week. I absolutely loved your performance. Dr. Hanover, I kept thinking this. He's very much like a character out of a Coen's brother movie, right? He brings so much, you bring so much to this character, but he's so zany and he's so just, I don't know how to explain it, but all I kept thinking about was Coen brothers. Am I close with that? Like, is he a Coen brothers type character?
That is so interesting. I like it. Yeah, I believe so. There's something about the Coen brothers stories. There's something zany, even magical, I think, in his characters, but there's something dangerous about them that makes his story their story so interesting. The way they tell them. I didn't even consider that. That's actually interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and there's something really I love your character. People can say yes, he's insane, he's unintentionally funny, he's brutally honest, but let's face it, he comes to be where he is. It's not really. It's some of it's his fault, but he can't control what was poured in his drink. That starts a whole different scenario. But how would you describe the character? Because my wife and I, we came out just loving your performance, and loving Dr. Hanover.
The way I look at it, that I placed him in a kind of a similar situation as I am, an immigrant and a brilliant person, and he knows it. That maybe that's his problem. But he has a chip on his shoulder. And it's like, any other people who are not supposed to be invited in a certain world, they have to do everything they can to stay there. And I think that's the way he is. But sometimes things get away from us, right? And the thing is with him, because he knows he's brilliant, there's some kind of a God complex in him, and which I like. It's so which makes him so lovable, but at the same time you just you root for him, but you go, you just hand palm, that face palm yourself, like, oh my God, it's like he just, there's no way for him but to fall flat on his face.
And you have to watch. For those listening, you have to see it. It's such a wonderful show. But it's like you see the insanity unfold, you see the horror unfold, but you, in your heart, that this man still cares. Like, he might be whatever you say, but what people think, but like, he definitely cares in this weird way. It's I've never seen a character like it ever.
Yeah, that's the thing. He truly believes that he can cure everyone, that he can help everyone. That especially during that time of in the 1940s, where the mental health was a mystery for everyone, and he thinks that he has the answer and he can help everyone. And the thing is, it just didn't happen for him. And of course, Nurse Ratched came into his life and help his downfall.
Yeah, and for those listening, Ratched is the origin story for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I have to say, I have two more questions for you, but what a cast you were surrounded with. Everyone knows Sarah Paulson, how wonderful she is in the American Horror Story and everything else she's in. But, I forgot, I have to be honest, Jon, how really talented Judy Davis is. I forget that she's a 2-time Academy Award nominated actor. Like, I forget this, and she's so marvelous. And this is how the casting works for, for American Horror Story, how the casting works for, in general with Ryan Murphy. It all comes together, and you see it with these two actors.
I think Ryan called it the murderer's row of actors. Yeah, Judy Davis, she is just an amazing actress, and funny as hell. We had so much fun doing that show. And come on, Sophie Okonedo. She is just, she's amazing. Cynthia Nixon. Sharon frickin' Stone.
Yeah, and the list goes on and on. I mean, it is a murderer's row, legitimately.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio was. I had so much fun with him. It was a blessing just to be in in that company. I will never forget that.
Yeah, and how amazing is it, Jon Jon? We rattled off 7 names, and Vincent D'Onofrio was like, that's how good the cast is. That's how deep the cast is. Let me ask you, as an actor, do you find, and it's probably a stupid question to some degree, but it must be a lot easier when you have this wonderful cast around you where you know everyone shows up every day ready to put a good product, forth that day. That's got to be, I don't want to say easy. That's the wrong word because your job's hard, but it must make things easier, I would believe.
I think so. And also, at the same time, it makes you better because you have to bring your A game. I always bring my A game, but when those people are in the same scene with you, you have to be amazing, at least close to your best that day, because you don't want to get embarrassed, because but the thing is they're such good people as well, but just to play with them, it was fun. It became so much fun because these are veterans and they're theater actors as well. So that was something I can relate with them because we all came from theater.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention Finn Whitrock, who scares
Finn.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Jon Jon, he scares the ever living crap out of me every time I see him on screen. He takes, as do all of you, but. My God, again, this is like one huge recipe that just works time and time again. Just a wonderful actor. I forgot the name. But my last question for you, and thank you for all this time. You've been so kind to me. Do you ever find yourself in a position, Jon Jon, where you learn from your kids, you watch them, whether it's television or a movie? Did you ever find, I know you probably taught your kids a great deal, but has the situation ever been reversed where you have learned from your kids and something they've done on screen?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God! Because this medium, cinema, is still, I'm still learning from it. But because they're so natural in front of the camera, every time I see them, I go, "Wow, that is." They're so relaxed, and especially my son Teo. It's just the way he carries himself. It's like the camera was really just another person that he's talking to. It's just the way they deliver things, the way they are at ease, and so it's effortless. They are they look effortless on camera, and that's what I learned from them. So much.
His name is Jon Jon Briones. Jon Jon, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for coming on today. It means a great deal to me. You are just such a grade A person and a wonderful actor. Thank you so much, Jon Jon. And let me be the first person to wish you a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays and Happy New Year to you too and your family.